Hi friends, welcome to Organic True Crime with Sydney Hopes, where I talk about interesting true crime stories. This month I've been focusing on scams, and today I'm going to be telling the true story behind the movie The Polka King. I'm sorry if I say this wrong, but Jan Lewandowski was born in Poland in 1941, and this was during World War II, so Poland at the time was under German occupation. I couldn't really find a whole lot about Jan's family life, but his love for music did start very early on, and he ended up going to the Conservatory of Music in Poland, where he studied opera and piano. Professionally, he's known as Jan Lewan, and that's what I'm going to refer to him as for the rest of this video. Jan began his performing career through opera. He actually first appeared as Cupid, and he never stopped performing after that. Even when he had to do his government required time in the military. At the time, it was required for every male in Poland to serve in the military at the age of 20. So Jan joined the Central Polish Army, and he was actually in a singing and dancing ensemble during his time in the military, and he performed in several music halls in Northern Europe. In 1972, Jan moved to the US through Canada, and he ended up settling in Pennsylvania. And he continued his career there, at this point focusing on polka. And at some point early on in his career, he performed for a telethon, and he met a woman named Rhonda. The two eventually got married and had two children named Amber and Daniel. And in 1991, Jan opened a gift shop where he would sell like Polish knickknacks and jewelry and stuff. So Jan eventually formed a polka band, and they performed at different little events around town, and they did eventually get some fans. And Jan started taking investments from these fans for his gift shop and promising crazy high returns from these investments. The thing is, he wasn't actually registered with the state to take these kinds of investments, so he was approached by the Pennsylvania Securities Commission and told that he had to stop taking money from people, and that he also had to return all the money that he had already taken. He didn't, though. Instead, he started creating more small businesses but like in a more hush-hush manner, and continued taking money from his fans and putting for these businesses and promising the same kind of really high returns. One of these was he acted as a tour guide and took people to travel around Europe, and he actually took a group of people to meet the Pope. In the movie, it showed this as like a really sketchy thing where he bribed some people to get an audience with the Pope. I don't know if that's actually true, but I do know that he did take a group of people to Europe to meet the Pope. Jan became pretty popular at this point. He actually had his own local television show for a few years. And people were investing more and more money with him, and his band was touring a little bit. And in 1995, one of his songs, Ole Ole, got nominated for a Grammy. But then, in 1998, Jan's wife, Rhonda, participated in the Miss Pennsylvania pageant. So Rhonda Lewan was named the 1998 Miss Pennsylvania, but she actually wasn't. Very soon after the pageant ended, several of the judges came forward and said that they had actually voted for Rita Marie Rowley to win, but she had mistakenly been named the runner-up. 4 people involved in the Miss Pennsylvania pageant in 1998 were arrested for the incident, but there wasn't any proof of an actual bribe, so nobody was convicted of anything. But fingers did point to Jan, because he and his wife were really the only ones that benefited from Rhonda winning the Miss Pennsylvania pageant. But again, no evidence. Rhonda did eventually return her crown and all of her winnings after protesting for a brief period. At this point, people really started questioning Jan, because everyone that had invested with him did it because they really liked him and they trusted him, and so far it looked like it was going well. But then the whole thing with the pageant happened, and they started thinking maybe he's not as trustworthy as we think he is, because all of his band members and his investors started realizing none of his businesses were actually successful. His band played at different events, but they didn't actually make that much money from it, and his gift shop wasn't exactly booming. He didn't do that many tours. So people were wondering, where was all this money he claimed to have coming from? And then in 2001, in January, the polka band was on tour and their bus was in a very serious accident. Two of the band members ended up being killed in the incident, and Jan's son Daniel was put into intensive care for a while, but he did survive. And after this, Jan's lies caught up with him, and in 2004, Jan was arrested for defrauding about 400 people. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 5 years. And later that year, he was stabbed in the neck by his cellmate, so he now has a pretty hefty scar. He did survive from this, though. He was put in the hospital only for like a couple days and then immediately sent back to jail. In 2009, he was released from prison and he continued his music career. In 2011, his wife divorced him and actually married one of his former band members. But now Jan Lewan is in his 80s. He has a website where you can see all of his many pictures with Donald Trump, and you can also read his version of the story. And that's Jan. What I wonder about this one is if he really, I mean, he obviously knew what he was doing, but he wasn't like, I wonder, was he just trying to scam these people out of money because he wanted money, or did he really just want to do well and believe in himself and think that the only way he could do it was through an illegal path? I don't know. I don't know how that is. What do you think? Let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye.